Hello everybody, this is a new video that I'm doing, and my name is Hectic Skeptic. We're going to be looking at the Amazing Atheist today. I'm also an atheist, and I do like TJ. I think TJ is a smart guy. I think he's right about a lot of stuff. But I think as of late, I think his channel numbers have been down, and he's gone to this podcast form, and where he's doing everything live, and he's doing like 5 videos a day. And I think when you do this, it's harder to actually deal with the facts. You're dealing more with opinions. And I think this is fine. It's not necessarily a huge deal. It's kind of what I'm doing on this channel. But I think if you're going to say things that are important, then you should at least, do an ounce of research, like 2 seconds of research. And this video is about pornography, and this is Jordan Peterson on Dave Rubin talking about how pornography is bad for you. Now, I am not a Jordan Peterson fan. I have another channel where I have plenty of videos speaking on Jordan Peterson and how he's an idiot. But just because Jordan Peterson is saying something doesn't make it default wrong. And Jordan in this video isn't even saying things that I necessarily agree with. It's that I disagree with TJ very much. So let's get into this video and see what I disagree with.
Jordan Peterson is way out of your league. Really? Well, let's see how out of my league he is.
Yeah, all right.
What do you think the effect of free and widely available pornography is having on young people, especially men, in our society at this time?
Well, I think it's like Treasure Island in
I know what
Pinocchio.
effect it's having
It's
on
all
boners and wet pussies.
I mean, that's
Pornography
just
is
right off
having
the
on
bat.
young people, especially men.
Let's say that is not all the effect that it's having. Clearly, it's not just people getting erections and coming and finger banging their pussies. It is obviously bigger than that. It is a widespread cultural phenomenon, something we've never experienced in the past. Instant access to sex and viewing people having sex on the internet. This has never happened before, so I'm sure the effects spread wider than just the boner.
In our society at this time.
well, I think it's like Treasure Island in Pinocchio.
I know what effect it's having
It's
on
all
boners.
it's
Is it though? Is it really?
that's deadening. It's
Is it though? Is it really? Like, I mean, I guess that right after you come, there is kind of a moment of like,
Well, let's just look at it this way. Men jerk off to pornography, and I would assume that women do too, because they can't have sex with a person. I'm sure 99.999% of the people out there would choose to have sex with a person. So maybe constantly having to jerk off to pornography instead of actually having contact with a real person is kind of deadening, you know? You're constantly looking at people have fun on the screen and do things that are pleasurable while you never get to participate. You only get to fucking wank off in the corner. You know, so, I mean, after a while, I'm sure that would get pretty fucking deadening.
I mean, that's why the French call the orgasm la petite mort. La petite mort? Mort? I don't know. I'm not good with French, but it means the
Then maybe don't speak in French. I don't know. Maybe don't say, well, the French say this. Oh, I don't know what the fuck it is.
little death. Because, yeah, it's a little draining for a second, but you get right back into the groove of things, you know? You know what's really...
Actually, I think after jerking off, you become a lot more tired. I think there's some science behind this, too. You're drained. Also, your willpower, your motivation's also drained after jerking off.
actually deadening to people is all responsibility and no pleasure. It's working at a fucking gas station. That's deadening. Working at Subway. That's deadening.
Yeah, I would agree, but there's also a distinction we can make here. You know, I'm not on board for banning pornography. I think that pornography, given that it's two consensual adults who are participating on screen and there's a consensual adult who is watching this, I don't think there's anything wrong with it in the sense that we need to get rid of it, because I believe that people should have the freedom to do what they want. But that doesn't mean we can't advocate for a better way of living. I mean, I definitely wouldn't advocate for someone to stay in their house 24 hours a day and jerk off and never try to actually enter into the world and meet a real person. I would think we can say that's intuitively wrong, just what we know about human beings and how we're social creatures. I mean, that's what we're trying to do on the internet when we watch porn or we do anything. We are trying to get human interaction, and the internet is it's a secondary form of that. If we could have the real thing, most of us would take the real thing, real human interaction over fake interaction. And it's not fake, it's just secondary.
Working some menial shit job where it's all responsibility and no pleasure, that's what's deadening. All pleasure and no responsibility, that's a good fucking time, Jordan. So...
No, come on, don't be... This is... it's funny and all, but all pleasure and no responsibility, I would think, is also a recipe for disaster. You need to have some sort of responsibility. You need to have some sort of goals and seek to achieve things and not seek to just have immediate pleasure. I mean, these are things that are kind of just common knowledge.
Afraid I gotta disagree once again with your brilliance. Your out of my league, out of my depth brilliance.
I don't think he's out of your league, the Amazing Atheist. I think you could do just fine in a debate with him, but I don't think that the essence of what Jordan is saying here is wrong. I don't like the way that he is going about it, but this video isn't about how Jordan is wrong. This video is about how TJ is wrong. And yeah.
Parasitical in a sense, and I don't mean that. I'm not making a value judgment. I mean, it's no wonder the young guys are caught up in this, because it's an unbelievably powerful technology. It drove the...
It's not, I mean, not really. People have always had porn, you know, for as long...
He's talking about the internet and how we have instant access to porn. Now, you don't have to go rent a DVD and have the shame of walking into a smut store. Now, in the privacy of your own home, you can look up whatever the hell you want. You would at least have to have the prying eyes of the person at the store. Oh, yeah, you into some weird shit there, aren't you, buddy? Like, now you can do it all in private, and no one has to see the disgusting things you like to watch. So I'm pretty sure he's talking about the technology of the instant access.
As long as we've been able to depict things, there's been pornography. As soon as a caveman figured out that he could draw on a cave wall, there was a stick figure with some big old titties that he stared at late at night and was like, you know?
Oh, I did not find that pleasant at all. Just thinking back on what TJ has done and thinking about what he does in the bedroom.
Development of the internet, let's not forget, right? So it taps into one viciously...
Yeah, did you understand now that he was talking about the internet, TJ?
...primordial motivation.
Porn existed before the internet.
And so these guys are being blasted by what biologists call superstimuli.
Actually, they're doing the blasting usually.
All the time. So imagine that there's a biological stimulus that has an effect on you, and then you can magnify it. And the typical porn actress, not the amateurs, but the professionals, have their sexually provocative physical elements exaggerated. Mm-hmm. And so...
I mean, sometimes the amateurs too, you know.
Men are very visual in terms of their sexual processing. And so, you know, the guys are pulled into it, and they're pulled into it also by curiosity. But I think that ethically it's
like this. It's like not every woman you meet and have sex with is going to have a bleached asshole like porn stars do. Not every single one of them is going to have the type of physique. And also, the girls in porn, the amount of makeup that they put on before, and they do spray tans. I mean, they even make their bodies have makeup on. So you're getting a fake reality. You're not getting what most women are like. And then when men move out into the real world, they're expecting this smorgasbord of dime pieces walking around with double D tits, you know, and bleached assholes. It's just not like that. And it sometimes can set up for young men an idea of women that is just not the case.
Good. It's not good. It's
All right. Let's hear an explanation as to why.
It's an easy out. That's the other thing, you know, is
What's wrong with that? I mean, all I'm hearing so far is
TJ, there's an easy out. It's people taking, you know, the easy street instead of the hard road, you know? There's something to be said about working for something instead of getting immediate pleasure. This is what's being talked about.
it's pleasure without responsibility, which sounds awesome, and it's an easy out, which sounds awesome.
You see, this is why I think a lot of people are turned off by atheism, and it's because the people who encompass atheism a lot of the times, given that they're for liberties, which I am, because me and TJ completely agree that porn should be legal, right? But it's just that I'm not going to go around advocating and pretending like there are no downsides to porn. Obviously, there are going to be some downsides. Maybe it's not like this. Maybe Jordan's overblowing what the effects might be, but let's get real here for a moment. And, you know, of course there's going to be some effects if you watch tons and tons of porn.
Where's the part where it's not ethical come in? Explain that. Get to that.
And it's not even the really about ethics. It's about health. And if you want to tie health into ethics, then you can. And maybe we could say that because these people aren't acting in the way that's best for them, maybe they're acting immoral in a sense. But it's not really about the efficacy of it. It's about what it does to the person. You know, and we're not going to say the person who's watching porn is being unethical, but we could say that maybe they're harming themselves if they watch an abundant, excessive amount of it.
what you should be doing is going out and finding someone to have a relationship with.
Okay.
And
Plenty of people, lots of people have relationships and look at porn. Plenty of people who look at porn find people to have relationships with.
Yeah, but the point is that porn can kind of be a substitute for a relationship. Given if they didn't have access to porn, they might actually seek sex. They might actually seek a relationship in order to have that sex. And a lot of the times, young men can be content with staying in their house, jerking off, and never entering into the outside world. This is the problem that we can get with incels. And I think that pornography contributes to the problem of incels. I don't think it actually makes it better. I think it gives these people what they want in a diluted sense, in a non-realistic sense. And really what they're looking for is sex, but they're also looking for that connection with another person, what it means to have sex with another person. It is a very intimate thing, and it is a very powerful thing to make love, to have sex with another person. And they are robbing themselves of that aspect of sexuality, I think. And I also think that pornography is doing a lot in keeping men in a mindset of objectification. Now, I don't think this is a huge problem, but I think it at least needs to be noted, and we can't pretend like there are no downsides.
And you know what? The people who don't find relationships, it's because they've chosen the porn over the relationship. And
you
as
see,
far
but
as
I don't believe that to be the case a lot of times. Maybe that is the case, that some people choose porn over a relationship, but a lot of the times the people watch so much porn, they become so invested in this type of sexuality that it's hard for them to actually find a relationship. It's hard for them to actually take their ideas of what they find pleasurable online and then go out into the real world and try to find a woman that can compare to what they're seeing online. I mean, there is a lot of men. I know friends that take ideas for pornography and then they try to play it out on their girlfriends. So there is something to be said about pornography playing a role in actual relationships and sexual involvement in the real world, in the non-porn world.
it's a valid decision. Relationships are hard. They're hard. They're difficult. Not everything, a relationship isn't always fun. A relationship can be a fucking pain in the ass.
I don't think you could really give any more worse advice than he's giving right now. He's saying literally, if someone makes the choice to stay in their house and just jerk off all the time to porn instead of actually seeking and maintaining a relationship, you would think that both of these things are fine, given people can do what they want. But there is a separate conversation to be had, which says, is it best for them? And what type of people are we creating that are going to choose pornography over actual sex and an actual person? What type of person is that? Because I worry about their psychological well-being if that's the choice they're making. Because again, like I had stated earlier, a lot of what you're trying to do with porn is to fake that interaction, or to have a feeling of that interaction like you actually had with a real woman and replicate that in porn. And then fantasize about that woman. And, you know, but it is absolutely insane to say that it's completely acceptable to forego relationships entirely for the secondary type of sexuality that is pornography online. That seems like such bad advice.
So some people do say, yeah, I'd rather just jerk off to porn. And some people have no choice. Some people are just not desirable. No one wants to fuck them, or they think they're more attractive than they are, so they think they deserve a higher caliber of mate than they actually do, according to biology.
Right. That's a good point, TJ. And the reason why a lot of young men lately think that they're 10s and everyone they look at are 5s is because of Instagram stars, is because of pornography, is because of movies and how these women look. Now, it's easier for people to distinguish movies and things like that from porn. When they see women in porn, they're like, hey, maybe these women exist in real life and then just decided to be in porn. They feel as if the women in porn, given the guys they're fucking in porn, oh, they don't look that attractive. I could land a chick like that, you know? I could land a porn star like that. So the reality and what they see in porn starts to get confused with what reality is, or what you're actually going to find out in the dating pool. I think that pornography is actually creating incels, given the fact that if they didn't have the pornography, they probably would try to have a relationship. Now, is it best to advocate for this crutch, this secondary pleasure? I think that we should be advocating for people to get into healthy, well-functioning relationships. I think that is the best advice. Now, there is obviously a different conversation that says, you know, do what you want. But if you're going to ask me, and if I'm going to give my opinion, I'm going to tell you, don't stay in your house all day jerking off. Go try to find a girlfriend. Right? Fucking A, TJ.
And so they can't get laid. And so they look at porn. And so they jerk off. And
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Jordan Peterson even said it's not a point about the ethics. It's a point about the health and the psychology of the person.
And what's the problem? Where's the problem come in, Jordan? Want to read some good porn? Read the Bible. A bit wordy, though. Yeah.
So basically, TJ is saying there is absolutely no problem with porn whatsoever. And he seems to be saying there's actually no problem with someone foregoing a relationship for watching porn entirely. And that also seems to infer that he would be okay with someone spending a lot of time, god damn it, I can't say the word, adordinate amount of time, a huge amount of time watching porn would be okay too. But it's funny, he didn't do any research whatsoever to say this, because obviously porn can have an effect on the brain. Food can have an effect on the brain. Video games can have an effect on the brain. And especially when you don't have these things in moderation. So let's just take a look at at Psychology Today. Is porn good for us or bad for us? And we're just going to look at a few things that it says to see if they match up with what TJ says. And I feel like TJ, I swear to God, could have done 1 minute of research and he wouldn't have made this video. Some people can watch porn occasionally and not suffer significant side effects. However, plenty of people out there, including teens and preteens with highly plastic brains, find they are compulsively using high-speed internet porn, with their porn taste becoming out of sync with their real-life sexuality. Just visit the sites Your Brain on Porn and Reddit's NoFap, No Masturbating to Online Porn forum to see stories from thousands of young men struggling to overcome what they feel is an escalating compulsion. So here's TJ saying that there's absolutely no problem, but here's a big group of young men actually recognizing there's a problem with what they're doing. So are we going to go with what TJ says, who didn't do an ounce of research, or are we going to go with what a huge forum of people are actually recognizing in themselves? People are recognizing the fact that they're staying in their house all day watching porn, and that's probably not the best thing because it prevents them from actually doing other things that are important. There is such a thing called porn addiction, and I think TJ's just completely just ignoring it for some reason. In the first ever brain study on internet porn users, which was conducted at the Max Planck Institute of Human Development in Berlin, researchers found that the hours and years of porn use were correlated with decreases in gray matter in regions of the brain associated with reward sensitivity, as well as reduced responses to erotic still photos. Well, that would make sense given still photos ain't going to do much for you after you've seen, people getting their assholes gaped, right? I mean, the amount of the stuff that is on porn, some of it is just absolutely disgusting. And that would make sense given that jerking off and orgasming gives you a reward, a rush of chemicals in the brain, and if you continually do that over and over again watching porn, you can stay there for hours doing that. With a woman, she's going to tell you to fucking get off her eventually. So it does seem to set up a bad predicament for these men. A separate German study shows users' problems correlated most closely with numbers of tabs open and degree of arousal. This helps explain why some users become dependent on new, surprising, more extreme porn. They need more and more stimulation to become aroused, get an erection, and attain sexual climax. That's right. The more hardcore people stuff watch, they're gonna watch anal. Now next it's gonna be anal threesomes, and then next it's gonna be anal threesomes with a huge dildo. So that makes complete sense. If you overstimulate your brain, then you're going to have a problem stimulating it again. Another recent study from the University of Cambridge found that those who have compulsive sexual behavior exhibit a behavioral addiction that is comparable to drug addiction in the limbic brain circuitry after watching porn. There is a disassociation between their sexual desires and their response to porn. Users may mistakenly believe that the porn that makes them the most aroused is representative of their true sexuality. Meaning if they like watching BDSM or hardcore stuff online, maybe they think they need that in their real lives to get off. But what a lot of them don't understand is that they need this more and more arousal online, but as soon as there's a real woman in front of you, your arousal system's going to go fucking haywire. It's going to go crazy like nothing porn has ever done for you. It may be no coincidence that the porn users report altered sexual tastes, less satisfaction in their relationships, and real-life intimacy and attachment problems. Now, this is going towards TJ's point about people choosing porn over relationships. Well, maybe it's because they're becoming less satisfied in their relationships, given maybe the woman isn't doing all the things that they're doing on porn or something. And this is if someone's already in a relationship. A lot of young men especially talk about how porn has given them a twisted or unrealistic view of what sex and intimacy are supposed to be, and how they find it difficult to get interested and aroused by real-life partners. And this is also true for what they feel women want. They'll find some guy slapping some chick around, stepping on her face, doing all this weird shit in porn, and when they go out into the world, they assume that the women they meet also might like this stuff. And I'm not talking about mature adult men. I'm talking about young men who don't know any better. In the first comprehensive study of male sexual behavior in the U.S., which was conducted by Alfred Kinsey in 1948 and published in the subsequent book Sexual Behavior in Human Male, just 1% of men under 30 years old and 3% of men between 30 and 45 years old reported erectile dysfunction. Yet, in a recent study, more than a third of young military servicemen reported experience erectile dysfunction. Other recent studies had similar findings among non-military youth around the world, with rates showing a marked increase after high-speed internet porn became widespread. Now, correlation does not mean causation here, but we can make some inferences, and we could say maybe this has something to do with it, given that there is a correlation. And it would make sense, the fact that men would have problems with erectile dysfunction, given they've watched so much porn and jerked their gherkin into oblivion. They also talk about how other areas of their life are affected, such as concentration and emotional well-being, by watching excessive amounts of porn because they notice massive positive shifts in their personal lives and outlooks once they stop masturbating to it. These young men often recount how their social anxiety drastically improved, including an increase in confidence, eye contact, and comfort interacting with women. They also report more energy to get through their daily lives, concentration becomes easier, depression being alleviated, and stronger erections and sexual responsiveness after voluntarily engaging in a no-fap challenge. So, all this would go towards saying TJ is an idiot for pretty much condoning the, the usage of porn at any rate, and also giving up relationships to use porn full time. I mean, not use it full time like 24 hours a day, but use it full time in comparison to having a full-time relationship. Regardless of how one might feel about porn's value, more and more studies suggest porn users suffer detrimental effects. Ultimately, more research needs to be conducted. However, if in the meantime we continue to deny that porn can be a problem for some people, we are effectively denying these people, many of them underage, help and guidance. And this is what I never really want to do in my videos, is like steer people in the wrong direction. I want to have the right information. And if I'm giving my opinion, I want to state that it's my opinion versus actual factual information. And I don't think that TJ did this in this video whatsoever. I believe that he was making a video against Jordan Peterson, and so he was just going to disagree with whatever Jordan Peterson said. Now, all the facts aren't in, but I can definitely say that advocating for just any amount of porn usage and giving up relationships is definitely not the way to go, especially when there is actually young men out there who are recognizing a problem within themselves. And we are effectively denying these people help if we're saying that watching porn at any rate is not a problem whatsoever. So I just believe it was kind of an irresponsible video by TJ, but then again, who fucking cares, right? Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm outie. See you later.